Good morning from Big Sky Country. I'm Stacy, owner of Montana Used Bricks. And today I'm doing another this and that video, which means I am commenting on my comments because you guys asked some pretty good questions. So I'm going to follow up on a couple of them. Several of these are fairly old, but hopefully you will enjoy them anyway. This first one has to do with the video I did. I think it was a start to finish video, my very first one, where I showed everything that I did from the time I got the eBay box until I was done. And this is one of the comments on it. There was only one thing missing. How many hours it took you to sort it? That's a big factor in the profit line. Great video as always though. Glad you finished it. I didn't keep track of my hours. It's really hard for me to keep track of the hours that I spend sorting because I do it on and off here and there. I can sit down and do it for several hours at a stretch, or sometimes if I'm working from home and I'm on a boring meeting, I can sort while I'm listening during the meeting. But I don't keep track of that, and I probably should have, but I think if I was to ever keep track of how much time I spent sorting and getting parts into inventory, I think I would freak out and not do this anymore, because this is a labor of love because I'm always going to spend more time and effort into keeping the store going than I'm ever going to get back. So in that sense, it's a hobby business because it's something I enjoy doing and I do make a little bit of a profit. But if I was ever to figure out how many hours I spent on trying to just get 100 2-cent parts into inventory, that could be very frustrating. If anyone else has taken the time to do the math on how long they spend sorting, how long they spend putting parts into inventory, just the general running of your store, I would be very interested to hear what your numbers are, because like I said, I don't think I ever want to get down to that detail. Because yeah, I would look at it and go, oh my God, this is a total waste of time. Because I don't think anybody really gets into this unless you have a mega store. I don't think you're ever going to get as much money back as what the effort that you're putting into it, if that makes any sense. But I think the bigger stores can do that because they have the resources to do that. I'm one of the smaller stores out there. I'm not a big store. I have pretty low prices just to be able to bring people into my smaller store. And I'm happy with the money that we're making now because we make enough that we're able to basically pay for a vacation once a year. For us right now, that's plenty. When we start looking at retirement, I think then we'll look at things a little bit different once this is our income. But right now, we're just happy with what we're doing. It's something we enjoy doing, and for us, it's fun. But I'm sure there's people out there that this is their livelihood, and they can probably tell you how much time they spend on it, and how much money they're making, and whether or not it's really worth it to do it. I can't tell you that, and at this point in time, I don't want to figure that out. The second one is, love the content. Quick question though, do you normally just purchase from eBay? I believe I answered this question in my new parts versus used parts video, but yes, I would have to say that probably 80 to 90% of the parts that I have in inventory, I got from eBay. It's just because of where we live, it's really hard not only to find places that sell Lego, but to find Lego on sale. It's nearly impossible to find parts at the thrift stores. eBay for me is the best resource to get used parts. I have bought locally, I think 3 times now, maybe 4, and I did another video on my best Lego haul ever, which just happened to be a local person, and we got a lot of parts from her. That was a very lucky purchase, and I don't think we'll be able to do that again, at least not locally. What I would like to do is, when my husband and I are traveling, is to be able to look at Facebook Marketplace or classifieds when we're traveling, especially in the bigger cities, to see if people are selling Lego in mass and be able to purchase it that way. But then again, we're on vacation, we may not have enough space to haul Lego back and forth. But it is something I've thought about when we're traveling, especially to the bigger cities where there's more opportunity to buy used parts locally. The next one is also one that I think I've answered several times in previous videos, but it never hurts to talk about it again. I've been trying to sell my damaged Mega Block and other brand building blocks, but I haven't had any buyers. I've tried Facebook and eBay, but can't seem to find anyone who is interested. What is a good price per pound? And this is kind of interesting. When I first started selling my non-Lego parts on Facebook, I could sell them right away. Within a week, I would have them sold. And I generally sold those probably between $1 to $2 a pound. So they weren't much, so they would go really fast. I collected a whole bunch of non-Lego parts that I tried to sell on Facebook Classifieds, and I couldn't do it. I kept marking them down. I finally got to the point, I had like 2 lots. I combined 1 lot, marked it way down, no interest at all. I had it up there for probably 2 or 3 weeks. Nobody even messaged me about it. I finally took it down and finally just gave the parts to a local thrift store because I wanted them out of my shop. I probably had 12 to 15 pounds of non-Lego parts and they were just taking up space. So I haven't been able to sell them. I haven't noticed that Mega Block or any of the other brands other than Lego sells well on eBay either. So if there's anybody out there who does sell their non-Lego parts, let me know where you're selling them. Give us an idea of maybe what you're selling them per pound, and maybe we can help each other out here, because right now all of those that I'm getting are just going to the local thrift store. Okay, this next one's kind of a long one, but I thought it was kind of interesting, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. Thanks for the informative video, Stacy. In one of your next videos, could you maybe try to give a rough estimate on the percentage of lots in your store that will likely never sell? I'm aware this will be tough to estimate as it both depends on the price and the time frame you are looking at. But for simplicity, let's assume all prices are set at the 6-month sales average and a time frame is 5 years. Is it 10%, 25%, or even 50% of lots that will be untouched? Especially when looking at the part out value of new sets, I think it's important to have a rough idea which parts will likely never sell. Example, the often discussed 3 times POV minimum is virtually useless if 50% of the parts will never sell. One might falsely believe he's onto a profit when he's actually making a long-term loss because so many parts are not selling. Love your videos. Greeting from a very small village in Austria. I'm laughing because I seem to have a pretty big following in Austria and I'm not sure why, but I have a lot of people who comment from there. So thank you to all of you in Austria that take the time to watch my videos. But this was kind of an interesting question and I'm really not sure how to answer it. I would have to dig in to what we have in our store that has not sold, because we do have quite a few parts that have not sold, and I know there's parts in there that have not sold since we put them in there in 2015. Does that mean they will never sell? No. I think that selling Lego, especially the used Lego, I'm not even going to comment on the new stuff because our new section is so tiny compared to our used. It's a very odd thing to me because we will have parts that I will be accumulating that will sit in my store and I just keep adding more and more to whatever part it is. And I get to the point, it's like, crap, what am I going to do with all these? And usually by the time I'm starting to think that, within a month or two, somebody will come in and buy virtually all I have of that part. Even though it's sat there for 5 years and nobody bought it, suddenly somebody will come in and want that part. I've also had where I've had several people buy the same part that's been sitting in my store for 5 years, will come in and within 2 weeks of each other, they'll buy me out. It's really hard to tell what sells and what doesn't sell. And to be able to say what percentage is going to sit in my store, I don't know, because like I said, you could have parts that sit here for 4 years and then all of a sudden they're all gone. and then every time you get those parts into inventory, they're just being snapped up. Other parts that I think, oh, these are going to sell really fast because they've sold really quickly before, now sit in my store. And I'm not sure why that is, but it's just what people are working on. It's what they're building for their mocks or what sets they're recreating. To me, there is no rhyme or reason to parts that you sell in your Bricklink store. I could be way off on this. If somebody has some kind of analytics on that, I would love to hear it. But as far as I can tell, there's no rhyme or reason. As for parts that sit in my store, I wish I could give you an answer. I can't unless I was to really dig into what I have in Bricklink that hasn't sold yet. And maybe I'll do that and give you guys a sneak peek of all the parts that have never sold, or the parts that I have a ton of that I rarely sell. I can't even fathom how I would go about doing that other than to look to see what hasn't sold. But I do know that I sell enough that I struggle to keep my inventory at above 105,000. For a while, I was struggling to keep it above 100,000. I figure as long as I'm struggling to keep parts in inventory, then stuff is selling, and it's never the same stuff. So as long as I have a big variety and I continue to put parts in, I'm going to sell them. That's probably not the answer you were looking for, but I'm going to talk this over with my husband because he's a little bit better at the mathematics than I am, and he might be able to look at what we have versus what we've sold and be able to give a better idea of what isn't selling, I guess, what percentage isn't selling. But if there's anybody that has a better explanation for this person that left the comment, then please put it in the comments below and explain it to me, because when it comes to math, I'm not good at math. Although I do seem to do well with money, but any other kind of math I'm not good at. Okay, here is another question from Christopher. He seems to comment a lot, so thank you very much, Christopher. He says, do you print out a packing slip to ship with your orders? I started doing that, but I found it easier for me to just put a thank you business card with the order number written on it. It cuts down on weight, and the customer can look online for the contents of the package with the order number. No, I don't put a packing slip in. I never have. I don't put a packing slip in with them because, for one thing, it's another expense. You have to buy paper and put it through the printer. So you've got the paper costs, the ink costs, the wear and tear on the printer. And to me, that just isn't worth it, because a lot of times they're just going to do the little check thing online. Or if they're like me, they like to print it out themselves so that they can put it in a certain sorting order when they print it out. So I've never bothered with a packing slip. I do put in a business card with Bricklink number and a thank you, and I always put that in with the package. And I figure that's enough because they have that Bricklink number and they can go and look online. I've never had anybody tell me that they were disappointed they didn't get a packing slip, nor have I had anybody ask to put a packing slip in it. I have had people ask me not to put any materials, such as a business card, packing slip, or promotional materials in the package, which I always thought was a little weird, because I'm like, okay, why? Are you ordering this for somebody else? Or are you really eco-conscious and you just don't want that stuff in the package? I don't know, but I've had that several times. So that's it for me today. I do want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch my videos, and a special thank you to everybody who takes the time to comment and ask questions, because a lot of these questions get me to thinking, and there's also been a lot of great advice that has been given in the comments, and I can't thank you guys enough for doing that. So I hope everybody's having a great day. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you really liked it, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.